is it that many of y'all refuse to go to curated dating events?
It's the epidemic of men being unable to form meaningful relationships.
All the women wanted to talk just to this guy. Like, I got completely ignored.
Somebody ran an article where they said that they ran a dating event where they were charging women $100 and men were free to come in, but yet the attendance still ran. It has nothing to do with straight men.
Men aren't getting girlfriends, men aren't getting laid, and that's everybody's problem.
I'm sorry, like, the biggest scam that we have been told is to have kids.
I used to look for men to fill gaps in the relationship I had with myself.
This I'm a independent woman narrative. What does that mean? You know what independence called? It's called being an adult.
I love being a young hoe. I love being a young hoe. I love spending all my money on myself. I love wasting my dollars on a blush from Sephora. Yes. Because I don't have no kids. Actually though. Like, it's my 20s and even in my 30s, mama, no kids, like, dead ass. Because if I ever have kids, it'll probably be like 35, 30. I'm sorry, like, the biggest scam that we have been told is to have kids. It'll fulfill you, it'll give you happiness. I just want a bag of chips. I don't give a about no kids. Like, what about me? Why can't I be happy first?
Wow. Why can't I be happy first? This is the thing. And it's not just, the females of this color. It's Latinas as well, which is the same as females of this color. What happens is, and white women do this too. There's some out there. But you notice the first thing she said, look all across the screen. I love being a young hoe. She loves being a young hoe. What does young hoes do? Waste money and spend money, which she explained. So, number two, she's selfish. Number one, she wants to waste her life. Then she's selfish. She sat around 36, but hasn't looked up the issues that happens when you try to have a baby at that age. But take a look what else they're doing. Take a look at this.
And the reason I know my life wouldn't be any better with a partner is I already treat myself better than any man ever could. When I used to look for men to fill gaps in the relationship I had with myself, I thought I needed a provider because I didn't believe I was capable of providing for myself. And I also thought I needed someone to reassure me, so make me feel secure, because I believed emotional connection was something another person had. I imagined a life where I could give myself everything I need or want, my own emotional safety. When I finally gave life on my own a chance, I quickly proved myself. A relationship with myself is the best one I'll ever have. I speak with myself. I forgive myself, I compliment myself, and I spoil myself, because one day this will all end, and to reach my deathbed, I want to look back and know I appreciate every single moment. I often think about the women who came before the privilege of living single, and how I want to honor them as the last woman by living fearlessly and peacefully without guilt or shame. Like a failure, but now I know it's the ultimate freedom, one that's up and one that I refuse to take for granted.
This lady took a vacation, right? And just to make this video. How wasteful are you? Seriously, like, I'm on vacation right now, which is not really a vacation, but while I'm out here, I started reflecting. I had a talk with my wife. There's some things, we had a long talk yesterday. There's some things I should be doing that's not being done. I hold myself accountable. I'll tell you what's happening here. Look, she's showing herself working out, and they brag about being humans. That's what ladies, it's crazy. And they do it continuously and braggadociously, which makes no sense to a man, because if we did that, crazy.
For the women, I know y'all gonna hate me for this, but y'all gotta stop this I'm a independent woman narrative. What does that mean? You don't see men getting online talking about, I'm an independent man, I pay my own. You know what being independent is called in America? It's called being an adult.
Real talk alert.
You're not an independent woman. You're just an adult.
Into adulthood.
You're just a grown-up. You know what grown-ups do? Grown-ups put a roof over their head, meaning they pay their rent. They put a car in the driveway, which means they pay their car note, they pay the insurance. They They pay for their food, they pay for their groceries. That's what grown-ups do. Men and women, you're not an independent woman. You're just a grown-up. Stop using that label. I don't need a man because I'm an independent woman. I can take it. You're supposed to take care of yourself because you're a grown-up. You're not a child. It was your parents' job to take care of it. It was your parents' job to pay your rent because you couldn't take care of yourself. But when you get older, when you can sufficiently take care of yourself, you are what's called a grown-up, not an independent woman. I'm just saying. Now, I ain't saying there wasn't nothing wrong with wanting a partner that can take care of everything. That's a different conversation. But to label, you put that term, that label on it, I'm an independent woman, and you get to describe an adult, that's why I can't condone it. I just can't condone it.
Yeah, but it's shouted to the mountaintops continuously, and it's a problem, and it needs to be addressed. But it's wild because men barely talk about it. We don't care. We've saw that shouted to the mountaintops for years, and we just laugh. We just laugh because a lot of times I wouldn't dare deal with a lady that I knew called herself an independent woman. If I was single, I'd run the other way.
That one of the purposes of religion is to control male sexuality, to sort of put these parameters on it, to tell men that if they want to be intimate, they need to do it with their wife, they need to earn that wife first, all of that, do it within the confines of marriage. Because on some level as society, we understand that male sexuality can be extremely destructive, and if you can control it, it will be to the betterment of the society. And I understand this point a lot. However, I really just generally have trouble with this issue that men's issues is everybody else's responsibility. Like, religion really hurts women, but we have to overlook that because of the ways that it might benefit men. I just think this whole phenomenon is also exemplified really well with the whole, like, male loneliness and self thing. Men aren't getting girlfriends, men aren't getting laid, and that's everybody's problem. Why? Because when that starts to happen and men's access to women specifically starts to be threatened, they get upset because they feel entitled to women, so they turn into incels and literally start unaliving women because of it, thus making it everybody else's problem. Like, it's just so annoying because this whole, like, singleness, loneliness epidemic is impacting women too. Women know how to control themselves and not literally end people's lives because they're feeling lonely, so nobody cares. Like, nobody feels the need to actually, like, do anything about it or help women. But because men have to be the center of the universe, and we all need to pander to what it is men need, and men are not used to going without what it is they want, and when they don't get what they want, they become extremely destructive, we all need to stop and accommodate for their wants. I don't like that.
You know what's sad? It's sad because ladies always go against God, but they don't realize he set up marriage mostly for them. What he said, men, love your wives. Not only because God understood a lot of times females aren't capable of love, not all, some, but a man can reproduce with so many ladies. It's been done before. Look at Genghis Khan. Even look at someone in the Bible, King Solomon. How many wives did he have? You think God didn't hear the cries of females saying, I want him to be just for me. I want him to be just for me. But marriage was always set. And it was set for you. Because a man can reproduce. You only can have one child. I can go and have a baby with 1,000 females tomorrow. All I have to do is implant my seed. You have one child, you're stuck with it for 9 months. So marriage benefits you. And they always are, religion is made for, no, it's not. It's made for all of us. And when I looked at her profile, right, what it showed in the description of the video, it showed feminism, feminist something. And I said, there you have it.
And not approaching women content is popping off is because deep down, we're literally collectively all so lonely. And I know a lot of you on this app won't want to admit it, but like, it is very isolating to be just like, I'm done with dating. I'm done with approaching people. It is not normal to not crave connection because humans are wired for connection. And I think there's so many.
No, I got to stop you right there. You're done with approaching people? You're approaching people? You're saying that you want men to approach you. Let's continue.
Reasons as to why we're all struggling to approach and to be approached and to create authentic, genuine relationships in the real world. Technology, COVID, XYZ, you name it. But like, I went to a talk last night hosted by my friend about the loneliness economy that we're living in. And it just baffled me. Literally every single person is struggling with loneliness, especially in my generation. And I think a small tip and practice you can implement to feel a little less lonely and a little less alone is to just call up the people that you love and care about and just tell them that you love them. Like, it takes practice to stay connected with people. It's like an individual sport. You have to sign up, you have to show up to maintain your adult friendships. But like, investing in showing up for people, I think, is so important and will help us feel less lonely.
You know, what they have to realize is that, yeah, you do have some losers out there. Some guys, and I got to correct the way I said. You do have guys that are lonely and get to the point where they want to hurt themselves. It happens. But for the most part, men are used to lonely. We're lonely all the time because it's forced upon us. Because I'll tell you what's happening. When you go to these dating events and things are actually, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to let this girl explain.
Actually, please answer me this. Why is it that many of y'all refuse to go to curated dating events?
She won't explain with the next guy.
Right, the music is good, the drinks are flowing. You're basically guaranteed to meet interested in you and is serious about dating. You're pretty much set up to win.
I haven't made a video about dating in
Break it
well
down.
over a month because, frankly, I'm tired of talking about it. But a video and something compelled me to speak on it. Maybe the algorithm will pick this up for Valentine's Day week. It is an outstanding example of women either asking questions about men in bad faith, asking questions in good faith but presuming the wrong things, or talking to men in a condescending way that feels good for the girlies but is so off-putting to men. A number of men do that when talking about women, for sure. So let's break this one down. The vibes are right, the ambience is set. Around this time last year, there was a black woman who talked about how she and her friends organized a singles event and no men showed up. And I'm asking, did you ask men what they wanted, or did you just talk to us? And to clarify for those who didn't watch my video, I didn't say that these events had to conform to what men wanted. But if you're leaving them out of the planning, your chances of bringing them in is going to drop.
I understand what he's saying. He's trying to hit on a point. But what's happening is these ladies want that one guy. This is facts. They want the knight in shining armor, and there'll be fives. There'll be twos. And they all want the knight in shining armor. That's what made the overall dating game lonely. But men thrive in that because men are used to it. Because what ladies have to understand, men have been lonely for the longest time. It's not loneliness to us. It's being a man. It is. And so, all right, I'll say it like this, because I said it already. You do have a very few select handful of guys that are depressed, but for the most part, men are used to it. I'll give an example. I've been short my whole life. I figured out a way to get by and get girls being short. That's what men do. I realized later in life, it turned into hell in the West, and I left. That's what men do. But listen, ladies, there's not a handful of men, not even there's a handful of men, but there's not a large group of men just around depressed all day. We can't be like that. We have to keep going. We're like a train engine. It doesn't stop. Like you see the train, there's a train running right along here, a little railroad station, you know, it's powered to go. Like, for instance, when you look at work, you ladies are working. You're not built for it, but men are built for it. We're built for loneliness. We're powered to go, just like a train. You're not. That's why you see ladies, "Oh, I'm feeling so weak. I'm doing too much," because it wears on you.
Go to singles events created by women. Now, I've been to one of these events. I've been to a few of these events, and I'm going to explain what happened and talk a little bit more after. So the event that I went to is just the typical, like a lot of videos have shown, there was way more women than men. There would have been about 30, maybe more women, and only a handful, maybe 5 men. Now, what happened was this. One guy was in his early 20s, he was good looking and over 6 foot tall. Now, all the women wanted to talk just to this guy. Like I got completely ignored as the other guys. Right now, I've been to singles events in the previously that had a similar situation. See, what happens is that women go to these events with a shopping mentality and they want to go just for the top 10%, which means that the rest of the guys get completely ignored. Right, and this is what stopped men from going to these places, and this is why these places don't work. See, they're not based on understanding relationships, because women have to stop doing this and start understanding that if they're all going to go for the 6 foot good, that guy's going to have all the girls. He's not going to settle down. He's just going to be a player, right? So this whole perception of
But you see what he said? And what girls are trying to do, they keep pushing the male loneliness epidemic. They're trying to say, okay, we're not dating anymore. That select what's happening is the men who are already not getting girls, that continues. So that's all fine. You weren't going to give those guys play anyway. All you're doing is saying, we're going to punish the Chads and the Tyrones. And those guys always get a girl. Why? Because there's always somebody giving it up. And then we have the same thing. As he said, these guys become players. So what happens? Yeah, they can't get as much girls as they got before, but they're still getting girls. They still going to dating apps, get girls. Why? Because all of the girls are flocking to them in the streets. They get girls. And a lot of guys don't want to take their chances at a dating event because of this region here.
relationships, right, has to be changed. This is why people have to create a place that's specific for relationships, and this is where people can go for relationships. These singles events that are supposed to be for relationships aren't, because people are allowed to behave in this way that doesn't, like, I don't know if that guy took a girl home, but I'm telling you, he'd be, with all that attention, when guys get all that attention, they become players, right? This is like a superpower for guys, right? So they realize that they can just have girl after girl after, and they do that. Right? Men have a very high bedroom fun drive, and that drives these guys to do that. So women are enabling them. But what I'm trying to say is that these places aren't for relationships. So they've been destroyed by this attitude that women have of only going for the fucking best and ignoring everybody else. I'm not saying that men are better than women. I'm just talking about what happens, because a lot of videos have been made where women create these events and many women go and no men go. Right? The reason no men go is because these events have been going for a long time, and that's been the experience of a lot of men. So it has to be a place where people are going to behave differently. They're going to fucking talk beef.
But there's not going to be a place. So what's going to happen? Then you have ladies sitting around saying, oh, we're going to keep penalizing men. Oh, I'm not giving it up. I'm staying celibate. And then the dating apps are trying to go at the woman saying, you saw it, right? It was on billboards. The dating app, I forgot what the dating app was. They made a billboard saying, ladies, why are you being celibate? Doesn't matter why they said it, because the way your app is set up, same thing is happening at the dating events. They're all going for those guys. Those guys will still get girls. The cycle repeats itself.
Up with an epidemic label for what's going on right now. I would say something more accurate than male loneliness epidemic is the epidemic of men being unable to form meaningful relationships and repair broken relationships. Instead of solely focusing on their resulting loneliness, why don't we spend some time interrogating why it would be that the moment women aren't literally obligated to marry a man or to be in partnership with a man, they choose not to. All the time, all I see and hear from men is that women don't take accountability. This would be a great moment for men to lead the way and show us how one can take accountability.
From women when dating. I don't need a man, I want a man. And every time I hear it, I can imagine some men tensing up because they hear rejection, they hear competition, they hear you're optional. But I don't think that's what most women mean. As a single middle-aged man who's been on plenty of dates, here's what I've come to understand. When a woman says she doesn't need a man, she's not saying she doesn't value men. She's saying she can survive without one. She can pay her bills, make decisions, raise kids, run a home, carry her life. That statement didn't come from arrogance. It came from experience. And when she says she wants a man, that's where the meaning really is. Want is about choice. Need is about dependency. So, for all the men watching, I want you to hear this. A woman who wants you isn't asking you to rescue her. She's inviting you to walk with her. Not because she's incomplete, but because life is better shared. Now, some men can get uncomfortable with this, and that's worth exploring. Because if a man feels threatened by not being needed, it usually means his value has been tied to being essential, not being chosen. And those are two very different things. On the other hand, for some women, this can feel like walking on a tightrope, especially when they have been raised with traditional values, yet still living in a modern world where independence is necessary. So, for me, when women say, I don't need a man, what they're really saying is, I don't want to lose myself to be loved. And when they say, I want a man, they're saying, I want partnership, respect, presence, and emotional safety.
I don't know. It's weird because I feel like the way he's explaining this is like, and I'm not trying to play you, brother. It's like he just learned how to speak English, and because this is common sense. It's a problem. He's older, so I give him that. But it's been yelled to the mountaintop so long, and men have no patience left. Understand that, brother. I don't know. Maybe he's from the old school. He just got out of a divorce. His wife just took everything. He's like, oh, she took everything because, it's me. Sometimes I did this, and I understand her now because I went to therapy, and the therapist just said whatever she wanted them to say because she manipulated them. But I don't know that because I don't care. I'm a 48 years old man that it was me too. I did, and yes, it's always both of us. But the way you're explaining this is like men have no patience left. And men have no patience left for this. Seriously. Like, they always say, okay, we have to get on the manosphere because there are a lot of men that are, they try to make it like we're out there lashing out at people. Boy, if that happened, who would be the first ones that would go after? Guys like this. Could you imagine? Like, oh, you want to defend? Get them. But it's not there because we have people protecting others. And who are they? Men. Go figure.
Straight men in New York because somebody ran an article where they said that they ran a dating event where they were charging women $100 and men were free to come in, but yet the attendance still ran 3-1 in favor of women of attendees. So it's free for men to come in, still only 1 in 3 turned up in comparison to women. The answer to this particular equation has nothing to do with straight men. Like attempting to make the reason why men don't want to go to dating events, why men don't want to relate to or can't relate to women at this time centered on sexuality is an age-old trope. Okay, it's actually misandry. Well,
it is.
It has misandry undertones to it. It isn't misandry in full. It has misandry undertones to it because this belief that every man that isn't interested in a woman, isn't driven by sex, isn't driven by attraction or the female gaze is somehow just gay. That's the...
No, and it is. It is. Why? Because it's definitely misandry. Because a lot of girls aren't up to snuff. A lot of guys aren't wired that way. When I started giving my life to God, my wiring changed. Before then, I was smacking everything, girl. Even fat ones. Yeah. I know some of you guys wouldn't smash fat girls, right? I was smashing them and dashing them. And I wasn't dashing with some of them. I kept them around. I kept them, you know. I played the evil villain for a long time. But I got to a certain point in my life, I aged, I got older. Men change. And a lot of ladies, but let them finish.
The answer that they have in a sophisticated social, cultural, emotional, financial, economic problem that is happening for men. Nobody's investigating what it is for men. They're investigating it, what it feels and looks like in the gaze of other women, and then projecting that back at us so that we behave in a way that makes women feel better. It's not in our own interest. Now, whenever we talk about the worst things that men do to women, we then talk about women first. When we are talking about the things that are harming men, we talk about men first. Not everything that is harming men is centered in women. And that is a massive part of the problem. And actually, the person who is perpetuating this idea is Mr. Chris Williams. Mr. Chris Williams' investigation or non-investigation of that point and regurgitating of that article without filtering it, processing it, giving context to it is exactly why I hate the internet. And look, I am following him. I am. I listen out to the stuff that he's saying. I want to know. Because there are so many men who follow other men and take tidy snapshots to make themselves feel better, but don't investigate deeper, including investigating and not being reductive about the harm that we cause, but also investigating and being reductive of the things that harm us, and being able to put better language, better understanding, and better insights into what it is. The problem we have now is that so many people are benefiting from creating these particularly narrow scopes and narratives around men that actually you don't know what is worthy of following and what is not. Reductiveness of this is of an all-time high, and I'm deeply disappointed.
Yeah. And the same thing, that's why I said it about the older gentleman. And you start to come to conclusions and go, he's missing a mark. Sometimes you can look at someone and say, okay, I see where they're missing at. I can kind of guess what he's been through. Maybe he could have been really the problem, and pitch it like that's all men's situation or all men's scenario and says, I'm a man, but you don't understand. A lot of men go along and get along. You probably didn't do that. So you're coming from your experience, pinning that on every man out there and saying, oh, woman, that's why I said, a lot of guys are not going to get it because of that. And I understand that. But at least do other men the favor and be quiet. Like he explained Chris Williamson, the man behind him, he's doing that. He probably should be quiet. Have a seat somewhere. Because it's 2026. And the more this is being done, the more feminists get power and energy. Oh, yes, the men are agreeing with us. When they're totally wrong. As I was making this video, I was going to put a slew of videos in here. But it was all feminists saying, there's a reason why the male epidemic is happening and not realizing the problem. As he broke down the dating events, and the other guy broke down how dating events are. That's why I put them in there, because it shows the problem, especially the guy in pink. They're all honed in on one specific type of male and saying more men need to meet up to that, either have the money or the height. And that's just simply not the case. So what's going to happen? Birth rates are dropping. And to be honest, it's all due to feminism. That's why I didn't put those videos in. But yeah, man, thank y'all for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Other than that, peace out. See you next video.
Imagine where you will be, and it will be so. Hold the line. Stay with me.
The Iceman is coming!
Winter is here.